Hi, I'm Carrie and welcome to my artist studio vlog for April 2023. Right, so I'm going to create a test print of this lino print that I did a couple of months back. So it's a lino print of a moon design with some sacred geometry on there as well. So I'm going to just have a little play with the colours. I'm going to add, I want blue to be the main colour, but I'm going to add a little bit of white and a little bit of black as well to this. So let me just put my blue down, quite a decent amount, and then I want to try and get a lighter area at the base and a darker area up at the top of the print. Unfortunately, I've only got quite a small roller, so I might have to do this in two different sections because I really want to make a gradient of light blue and then move up to dark blue. So I probably am going to have to do this in two different sections. So let me start with the whiter section first. And then I think what I'll do is I'll get another brayer right now, and then I can immediately go in with a darker layer on top. So I'll go and get a brayer now. Okay, so that's my brayer for the darker section. In fact, I'll switch them around, lighter handle for the light section, darker handle for the dark section. And I'll put in my black now. Probably far too much, I'll just take a little bit off. And then let me add just a little bit more blue here. And I can go with the black a bit later on. Right, so I'm going to roll them out first, get them all mixed up. So first of all, I'm just working the ink, lifting my roller up each time. And now that I've worked it a bit, I'm just going to move my roller from left to right ever slightly. And that'll create a bit of a gradient there. What I'm trying to get to is some lovely fine texture on the ink. So you can see here it's actually probably a bit too thick still because the texture's quite raised still. I don't know if you can see that on the screen very well. It's just a lot more raised here than it is here. It's a lot finer here. So that's what I want to get all over. But I think what I'll do first of all is just leave that there for the moment, and I'll start mixing up my darker gradient. So again, I've just worked the ink a bit, and now I'm going to move my roller from left to right to get the gradient. Okay, lovely, that's coming out lovely, quite a nice fine texture. I just want to work down the central area here, just so I get a bit of a finer texture, and I can start bringing that gradient into this first gradient as well by moving my roller left to right. That way a bit. Lovely, so now if I bring that over, hopefully you can see that I've got quite an interesting gradient there from very light blue up to dark. Sorry, my camera's not great, so I can't focus too well, but hopefully you'll get the idea. Alright, so now I'm going to just lino print this onto here, put the ink onto my lino print. So I'm just going to transfer the lighter one on first. Okay, and now I'm going to transfer the darker gradient on. Right, so I'm just going to take a bit of scrap paper and take a test print. See how we get on. I'm going to move this out of the way. Unfortunately I don't have a very big desk here, so things do get a little bit cramped, but never mind. Right, let's take this test print, see how we get on. Right, okay, let's give that a test. Let's pull that and see how we've got on. Very nice, I'm quite pleased with that. I don't know if you can see the gradient from the light blue up to the dark blue. Lovely, really pleased with that. So now I'm going to get some nicer paper and I'm going to make an addition of about 15, I think, of this. Here I am taking the first of the additioned prints of the lino cut. So this is on Japanese simile paper, 130 GSM, and it's got a slight cream colour to it, but it's an absolutely lovely paper to print on. And here's the finished lino cut. This is number 1 out of an edition of 15, and they're available now on my website, and I'll put details of how you can buy one in the description below. Next up, you can see me working on a Celtic knotwork piece that I started at the beginning of the month. So this is the first layer, where I'm adding a layer of mustard Derwent Inktense pencil to the drawing. Now I'm actually taking water and just activating that mustard colour, and as you can see it gives a really vibrant colour. Next up is to add the background, so this is going in again with Derwent Inktense pencil, going in circular motions, just getting that background in. And now I'm adding the second layer to the main motif. So this is with a Posca gold acrylic pen. Again, working in circular motions. And then the final layer is actually using Daler Rowney acrylic ink and using a gold to put a final layer of gold onto that main motif. And then the next step is to burnish the background. So all of that background needs burnishing. This is a paper blending stump, and I'm just going over the pencil that I put on the background and just burnishing that pencil in to make it smooth. This is how far I've got with that Celtic knotwork piece at the moment, and hopefully I'll have some more progress to show you in my next vlog. And finally today I wanted to show you something that was entirely new to me, which is drypoint printmaking. And I was lucky enough last week to go along with my community art group up to Northern Print in Ousburn, Newcastle, and we were shown how to do drypoint printmaking. So the printmaking technique is an intaglio technique, so it's different to lino printing. So the lino print that I showed you earlier, you place the ink, and the ink actually stays on the raised surface of the print, and then you take your print off there. But with intaglio printmaking, the ink actually goes into cut areas. So if we were doing intaglio with this, which I have actually done with lino prints in the past, the ink would actually go into the cut away areas, and then it gets printed and taken out of there. So this is the piece I was working on. I took one of my Celtic knotwork sketches in and just worked from that. So if you can see, we actually work on a piece of polymer, I think it's called, not plastic. And sorry for all the reflections, but you can just about see we actually scratched the image into this polymer plate. So it might be a bit better if I hold it like that. Then the ink is placed on top and actually pushed in to the lines that have been scratched into the surface. And then what happens is that you can actually then rub away the ink that's on the surface, and it leaves behind the ink within the lines. And then the paper that you print on is actually dampened and put through a printing press, and the pressure of the printing press and the dampness of the paper pulls the ink out from those lines that are actually etched into the plate. So I'll put a little picture in of just me inking up the design, and then you can see that. This particular print was just the very first one, just to see where I had all the lines, and then you could go back in and put some detail in. So that was the first one. And then this was actually, the last one that I did, which I quite liked. I got told that the ink, that the paper, sorry, was a bit too damp on mine, but which is why it gave all of this textured effect. But I actually quite like that textured effect. But you can see what the great thing about drypoint is, that the ink that goes into the lines gives a really bold definition, but the ink that's left on top of the plate afterwards, when you've rubbed it away, gives all of these lovely soft effects. So you could actually rub all of that surface ink off and literally just have, as I did here, an image that's just the line work. Or this is what I do like about drypoint, is that you can leave that extra ink on the surface behind, and it creates that lovely effect. And then I think this is my favourite one, which was actually the second one, where I've got a bit of the green and brown in all around, and you can really see all the lovely textures that I've left behind on that plate there. So I really enjoyed doing that. The lady, Helen I think she was called, who was teaching us, told us that there is a kitchen sink method of doing this, so we could actually try and do it at home without the printing press. So I think I might give that a try at some point and see how I get on. And that's definitely an experiment of the future. So that's all for my April vlog. If you've liked what you've seen today, please do give it a like, and if you'd like to see more of what I get up to in May, then please do subscribe. And thanks very much for taking the time to watch. Leave any comments below if you'd like to have a chat about the artwork I've done, and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks, bye.